அது அனுப்பிச்சு விட்டா
Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the daily current affairs session brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy for the date 18th July 2023. Okay, let's get straight into the current affair discussion for the news which came in the Express newspaper for the date 18th July 2023. First news is to spur India's energy transition, US to work on funding platform. LN. What the news says is India US going to work in collaboration to develop an investment platform that will explore ways to mobilize resources for smooth India's energy transition. This is what the news is related to. Second is both the countries agreed to cooperate on multilateral development bank reforms, climate change actions, and also both of them are going to focus on the increased debt of the low and middle income countries, especially after COVID pandemic. And also, both of them wanted to harness the opportunities created by the cryptocurrencies as well as digital public infrastructure technologies. So, what does this multilateral banking reform mean? The multilateral development banks are established by multiple member countries and it falls under international law. For example, World Bank as well as IMF. The reform needed because the finance requirement for global transition related to climate adaptability, increased debt due to pandemic induced economic crisis on the low as well as middle income countries, because this kind of changes has created a situation where the older form of credit laws or the rules and regulation which governs the international organization for giving credit is becoming so rigid, as a result of which the disbursement of loans to those countries which are affected by those kind of pandemics as well as their related economic crisis could not able to receive the timely credit from the multilateral organization. As a result of which, India is taking lead to make some reforms in the multilateral organization, which the US is also partnering with. Multilateral banks are dominated by mostly developed countries. For example, World Banks is dominated by US, and also the IMF is dominated by European Union, and also they impose heavy conditions while disposing loan. This is what I said, the rigidity in disposing the loan. So since the multilateral bank means the bank which is common for every countries which are part of them, since it is been dominated by Western countries, only their viewpoints is being predominant in the function of those multilateral banking. So this needed to be avoided. Every country's viewpoint should be included in the functioning of those multilateral banks. This is what the goal, reform means. Reform means in terms of multilateral banking reforms. Why the low as well as middle income countries are falling in debt trap is, the reason is due to COVID-19 pandemic, high food and energy prices due to the COVID-19 pandemic as well as the Russia-Ukraine war supply chain disruption. Third is the Russia-Ukraine war itself. Fourth is the climate disaster that is happening around the world. For example, the flood that happened in recently in Pakistan has devastated the entire country's economic situation. Because of this slowdown of the economy, the central banks of most of the countries are tightening so slowdown with along with the rising inflation. The most of the central bank around the world are tightening their oh, 1 minute. Are tightening their uh, interest rate, as a result of which among the country those who are tightening their federal rate, US is the major one of the most important country that is tightening, as a result of which the dollar is getting strengthened. Because of strengthening of dollar, there has been depreciation in the other local currency which is traded for US dollar. So this is what the reasons for debt among the low as well as middle income countries. And also government, as we all know, this year the president of World Bank has been elected. So we have to know about the World Bank itself, because while we are talking about multilateral banking reforms. Multilateral banks, it is the multilateral bank which provide finance, advice and research to developing nation to aid their economic advancement. Created in 1944 by Bretton Woods Agreement. Third is, it is headquartered in Washington DC, USA. Fourth is, the World Bank Group contains 5 banks under it. They are International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Its objective is to provide debt financing to governments that are considered middle income, based upon the criteria which the bank has set. International Development Assistance, IDA, it gives interest-free loans to government of poor country. Third is International Finance Corporation. This corporation enables the growth as well as development of entrepreneurship as well as private sector in a particular country, so that it will in turn contribute to the overall development of those country. So fourth is Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, an organization that promotes foreign direct investment in developing country. Fifth is International Center for Settlement of Investment Dispute. If there is any kind of dispute in relation to the investment, those matters will be undertaken by International Center for Settlement of Investment Dispute. These are the banking groups which comes under the World Bank and their objectives. World Bank is related to UN, but it is not accountable to both United Nations General Assembly as well as United Nations Security Council. Each bank has more than each of the World Bank groups has more than 180 members represented by their board of governors, which meets the board of governors are the central bank governors of those countries, which meets once in a year. Throughout the World Bank history, the bank president who serves as the chairman of the executive board has been an American citizen. The person who has been appointed recently as the president of World Bank is also a US citizen, but he is the person from Indian origin. That is what the specialty is related to, and also the connection with India. The voting power is based upon the capital subscription. country's capital subscription, which again is based upon the corresponding status of the economic status of the country. If it is low income country, means only a small proportion of the capital it could able to subscribe. If it is middle income, means later it will have slightly higher subscription capital. Similarly for the other stratified economic countries. A bank obtains its funds from capital subscription of member countries as well as bond flotation on the world's capital market. Third is net earnings from interest payment on IBRD and IFC loans. That is subscription plus interest plus floating bonds in international market. These are all the three ways through which the World Bank mobilize their funding. So what we needed to study further is, we have to know about, since the news is related to the formation of energy platform for funding the India's energy transition, we have to know about energy efficiency financing platform, which is already available in India under National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency. So we have to know about both of them, under which ministry it is coming, and who are all the participating stakeholders in it, and who are all the people, or who are all the targeted sector is going to get affected by affected or benefited by this platform's implementation, and also the mission's implementation. Since the news is related to climate change, we also should all know about United Nations framework for Convention on Climate Change. Fourth is, we should also know about what are all the other climatic fundings that is available predominantly to fund the climate change adaptation as well as mitigation. And also, we also should know about the recent Sri Lankan as well as Pakistan debt crisis. What is the causes and what are all the impacts it created, and what is the way forward this country is doing in order to come out from the debt crisis it is currently undergoing. These are all the other things which we needed to go through. Love and punishment. This is the another important interesting article that came today. Bombay High Court has recently said that criminalization of romantic relationship has overburdened the criminal justice system by consuming times of judiciary, police as well as child protection system. In India, over time, the age of consent has been increased. Right now, under POCSO Act, the age of consent, the minimum age for giving consent for sexual activity is 18. The definition of child varies from statute to statute. For example, POCSO criminalizes all sexual activities for those under 18 years of age. So what the court has said is, since the bar set for consensual sex is very higher than compared to most of the other countries, there have to be struck the balance between the sexual autonomy, that is consensual sex of teens, and child sexual abuse. So this balance should be struck, need to be clearly struck by the legislatures. This is the suggestion given by the Bombay High Court to the legislatures. Since the news revolves around POCSO, we also should know about the important provisions of POCSO Act. The Act defines child as any person below 18 years of age. It defines different forms of sexual abuse, including penetrative as well as non-penetrative assault. People who traffic children for sexual purpose are also punishable under provisions relating to abatement in the Act. It defines child pornography as any visual depiction of sexually explicit conduct involving a child, which includes photographs, videos, digital or computer generated image, indistinguishable from an actual child, an image created, adapted or modified but appears to depict a child. This is what is defined as child pornography under POCSO. The Act provides for establishment of special courts for trial of offence under the Act. The Act incorporates child-friendly procedure for reporting as well as recording of evidence as well as investigation as well as trials of offences. This Act actually wanted to protect the child from the rigid procedures of the recording of evidence, investigation and trial of offences, and it wanted to make the statute to be friendly with those who are affected by the sexual abuse. So certain regulations have been made so that the child who is affected by the sexual abuse should not get hindered or get panicked because of the process, that is because of the procedure of reporting as well as evidence gathering, investigation as well as trials of offences during the prosecution. The attempt to commit an offence under the Act has been made liable for punishment. So what the Constitution has mentioned in relation to child protection: the right to protection from slavery and forced into slave labor if given under Article 23. Right to be safe from any dangerous activity till the age of 14, Article 24. The right to be protected from social inequality and other form of oppression of poor segment of the population, Article 46 DPSP. Article 39F, protecting childhood as well as youth from exploitation so that their health, economic as well as social well-being is protected. Article 14 ensures right to equality as well as equal protection of law, so that the children, irrespective of diversity, won't get affected. They would be treated equally under the law. Other legislations that have been enacted to safeguard the child rights are Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009, Child Marriage Prohibition Act 2006, Commission for Protection of Child Rights Act 2006, Juvenile Justice Act 2006 as well as Child Labour Act 2008. These are all the act which have been made to prohibit the children from any kind of exploitation as well as make them to grow healthily in terms of socially, economically as well as in terms of health in relation and also in relation to the health. These are all the other legislation apart from the POCSO Act which have been under implementation to protect the children from any kind of exploitation. What we needed to study further is, we have to look into if there is any kind of international convention for protection on child rights. Second is, we also should know about UNICEF and its working and its important reports publication being released. Third is, we also should know about United Nations Human Rights Commission, its structure, function as well as the project it is currently doing and also the report it is releasing. And also we also should know about what are all the projects as well as schemes and programs being implemented by Ministry of Women and Child Development, particularly in relation to the child development in India. The stress signal. What the stress signal says is, the number of households that availed work under the scheme under the NREGA scheme has touched 3.04 crore. This is 10% more than those who did so in the same period of last year. The number of people availing NREGA is on increasing mode since 2015 and 16. The unemployment, and also the second important factor is the unemployment rate among the urban youth is also increasing. These are all the things that has been mentioned in the editorial. So the editorial has said that it is very concerning that the number of people availing jobs under Narega scheme is on rising mode since 2015 and 16, and also there has been an increase in the unemployment rate in urban areas, particularly in relation to urban youth. So these are all the concerns given by the article. So we have to know about the Narega scheme itself. The Narega provides a legal guarantee for 100 days of employment in every financial year. It makes right to work as it recognizes right to work as a legal right. The adult member of any rural household willing to do public work related unskilled manual work at statutory minimum wage. The Ministry of Rural and Development, Government of India, is monitoring the entire implementation of the scheme. This act was introduced with an aim of improving the purchasing power of the people, primarily the semi as well as unskilled work to people, semi or unskilled people, working people, and also the people those who are living below the poverty line in rural India. This is what the objective of the scheme is about. 1/3 of the stipulated workforce must be women. The Gram Panchayat registers household after making enquiry and issues a job card. This is what the procedure in relation to uh, registering a person under the Narega work. The employment will be provided within a radius of 5 km from his home, and if it is above 5 km means the extra wage need to be provided. Within 15 days of submitting the application or from the day the work is demanded, wage employment will be provided to the applicant. Right to get unemployment allowance in case of employment is not provided within those 15 days. If the 15 days, within the 15 days, the application is not processed and the person has not been included in the Narega scheme, means he has to be given the unemployment allowance. And the social audit of Narega scheme is mandatory because it ensures transparency as well as accountability in working of the Narega scheme at the ground level. This is what the important provisions in relation to the Narega scheme is about. And second is, we should also know about the article talks about the unemployment rate among youth. So we have to know about the what does the periodic labor force surveys means, because it is the survey based upon the survey only they are putting that the unemployment rate among the urban youth is increasing. The National Sample Survey Office launched the periodic labor survey in 2017 because of the understanding that there has to be the regular update about the employment rate in India. So as a result of which, periodic labor force survey has been introduced by National Sample Survey Office under Ministry of Statistics as well as program implementation to estimate key employment as well as unemployment indicators like worker population ratio, labor force participant rate, unemployment rate in a short interval of 3 months for the urban areas only. For the urban areas only in current weekly status. In case of a rural area, it is both usual status as well as current working status, current weekly status. Usual status is the employment indicators for 365 days. Current weekly status is for only a week. The employment status for a week. So, what is the definition? For the terms or the criteria through which the employment or unemployment rate has been decided is the labor force participation rate is defined as the percentage of people, percentage of person in labor force. What does this labor force is? Person those who are working as well as seeking or available to join the work. These are all the people will come under the labor force, and the percentage of people, a certain percentage of people are defined as labor force participation rate. Worker population ratio is defined as a total number of employed person in the population. It is total number of people those who are participating in the labor activities in relation to the total labor force. It is total number of people employed in relation to overall population. Third is unemployment rate is defined as percentage of person employed among the person in labor force. Sorry, percentage of persons unemployed among the labor force. Direct opposite to the labor force participation. Current weekly status is the activity determined on the basis with reference to the period of last 7 days. Based upon the activity of last 7 days, it will be decided whether the person is currently employed or unemployed. So what we needed to study is, we have to study about what are all the different types of unemployment and what are all the others surveys in relation to labor force, and we also should know about the labor bureau under Ministry of Labor and Employment. Fourth is, we also should know about e-Shram portal, which is being implemented by Ministry of Labor. So this is what the news is, news and the peripheral areas of the news related to. New norms for senior advocate. What changes? Supreme Court has published fresh guidelines for designation a person as senior advocate. Previous guideline of 2018 was made based upon the case of Indira Jaising as well as Union of India. So what does this about what the 2018 guidelines talks about is, it discouraged a system of voting by secret ballot except in certain cases which is unavoidable. A committee for designation of a senior advocate would be set up with members chaired by the Chief Justice of India and consist of two senior most Supreme Court judges as well as the Attorney General of India and the member of the bar nominated by the chair. A CJI or any other judge could also recommend the name for the name of an advocate for the designation. Designation in the sense means for senior advocate, or the advocate he himself could submit the application for the permanent could submit the application. Then the committee would evaluate him through certain criteria like years of experience, pro bono work, judgment, publication, and personality tests. These are all the criteria under which the committee will interview him or check. Will determine whether the particular person is fit to become a senior advocate or not. Prior to this 2018 guideline, it was the Advocate Act 1961 which regulates the advocate, which regulates the designation relation to the senior advocate. What it says is, Advocate could get the designation if the Supreme Court or High Court was of the opinion that the particular person has the virtue of has the ability and also his standing in the bar and also his special knowledge as well as experience in law, that he is fit to become a senior advocate, means then he will be considered as senior advocate according to the act. So this was completely changed, and it was through these guidelines only till now to the person have been nominated, or what to say, designated as the senior advocate. But what government has said is the criteria which the committee used to evaluate a person whether he is fit for a becoming senior advocate or not has certain limitation. For example, certain percentage of marks has been allocated for for publishing, and it has been identified that certain bogus journals has been published by the advocates through paying money, as a result of which uh, these bogus journal will also be counted as his own publication while determining the mark for the criteria in relation to the publications. Similarly, other criteria like other criteria also include other criteria. There has been certain kind of lack of transparency and unaccountability is also been mentioned by government to change the guidelines. So a petition has been filed in Supreme Court in relation to the suggestion made by the government of India to change the guidelines. So the Supreme Court has changed certain guidelines. The minimum age set for the right now the new guidelines released by Supreme Court is the minimum age for designation is 45. It could be relaxed if the committee, the CJI or judge have recommended an advocate name. The CJI or any judge of the Supreme Court could recommend the name for designation. Earlier it was CJI or any judge. Now it was only the CJI or judge of Supreme Court. 5 marks for publication, guest lectures. Previously it was 15 marks for publication only. In this publications, only the certain kind of more malpractices have taken place. So the marks for the publication has reduced, and the mark is allocated not only for publications but also for the guest lecture. So mark has been splitted. Weightage is given to the judgment, except the order that does not lay down any principle, has increased from 40 to 50 points. This is or the new guidance in relation to the designating a person to senior advocate has been these are all the changes in the guidelines mentioned by the Supreme Court in relation to designating a person as senior advocate. So we have to know about what does the lawyer as well as advocate mean, and what are the difference between them. A lawyer is anyone having a degree in law. An advocate is the person who is having a degree in law but also enrolled in bar council and is eligible to represent a client in the court of law. Second is the bar council doesn't regulate conduct of lawyers, but in case of advocate, the bar council will have a regulation as well as controlling mechanism to controlling mechanism for the activities of advocate. Third is advocate have more courtroom experience when compared to lawyers. The lawyers can engage in full-time academic activities such as teaching, while in terms of advocate, they can also engage in academic activities but not as a full-time. So what we needed to study further is who are all recognized as advocate, which are all the specialized law persons are recognized as advocate, which are all the other persons are recognized as advocate. So we have to know about them also. Second is we have to know about the bar council power. Bar council and its function as well as power, and also how the chairman as well as the other members are elected in the council. Third is about tribunals. Its constitutional provision and also structure function, and also structure as well as its functions. Fourth is we have to know about Attorney General of India and also the Solicitor General of India. These are all the other things which we needed to know to have a holistic understanding of the news. Goyal launches sale of subsidized Channa dal at one minute. There has been some technical glitch. Goyal launches sale of subsidized Channa dal at 60 per kg. The Union Ministry has launched the sale of subsidized Channa dal. The all India retail price of Har is 20, Har gram is 32.91% higher when compared to the previous price. And also the retail price of urad as well as moong dal has also rose price then 10 to 11% compared to the level last year. So this is the reason why the as Union Ministry has launched a subsidized Channa dal is called Bharat dal. The the milling as well as packaging of Channa dal will be done by NAFED for distributing through the retail outlets of Delhi as well as through outlet of NCCF, National Consumer Cooperative Federalism, SAFAL as well as Kendriya Bandar. So why the subsidized Channa dal has been introduced by the Union Ministry is to make sure that pulses the pulses are available to the consumer at affordable prices, so that the nutritional intake as well as the consumer prices will not get reduced and as well as not get reduced and increased in relation to inflation, reduced in relation to nutrition. So this is what the main objective through which because of which the subsidized Channa dal has been introduced. So we have to know about Har or pigeon pea is. What does the Har or pigeon pea means? After gram, Arhar is the second most important pulse crop in the country. The seeds of Arhar are also rich in iron, iodine, essential amino acid like glycine, thymine, cysteine, and arginine, etc. More than 80% of tur production comes from 6 states. Tur means Arhar production. 6 states, mainly Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat as well as Jharkhand. The pigeon pea is predominantly a crop of tropical area, so it could be easily cultivated in semi-arid region. And it also requires a temperature between 26 degrees Celsius. It is not 260. It is 26 degrees Celsius during the rainy season and 70 to 22 degrees Celsius, 17 to 22 degrees in the post rainy season. And it will be successfully grown only in black cotton soils. So what we needed to study further is, since the milling as well as the packaging activity will be done by NAFED, and it will be given to the consumer through the outlet of NCCF. So we have to know about what does NAFED means and NCCF means. What are all the other pulses that is available in India, and what other pulses means, we have to know about not only their names but also the soil which requires to cultivate them, the temperature in which is suitable for growing, the climatic condition, whether it is tropic or temperate crop, or desert, or what to say, or arid region crop. And also we should also know about the minimum support price, procurement price of Government of India, and price stabilization fund to reduce the wastage of vegetable products, and also to increase the earnings of the farmer, minimum assured earning of the farmer, those who are cultivating those vegetables, which is usually perishable. This is the fund being, this is the fund in the fund வந்து அந்த நோக்கத்துக்கோசம் தான் கிரியேட் பண்ணப்பட்டது. ஸோ அதர் திங்ஸ், ஓவரால் த இம்ப்ளிமெண்டிங் ஏஜென்சி, ஓவரால் த பார்ட்னர்ஸ், ஓவரால் த ஸ்டேக் ஹோல்டர்ஸ், அண்ட் வாட் இஸ் த ஷேர் பிட்வீன் த பார்ட்னர்ஸ், இதெல்லாம் என்னன்றதை வி ஹேவ் டு, அதெல்லாம்ன்றதை நம்ம எக்ஸ்ட்ராவாக பார்த்து வச்சுக்கிறது நல்லது. அதில் இருந்த டீடைல்ஸ் ஆஃப் த நியூஸ். In blow to global food security, Russia halts grain deal after key bridge struck. The bridge which connects the mainland Russia and with the Russia annexed Crimea region, which was previously owned by Ukraine, has been bombarded by certain illegal elements. What the Russia is saying is, it is being bombarded by the Ukraine side only, but the Ukrainians are saying that we have not bombarded any bridge in Crimean region. So this is what the news is related to. As a result of which, Russia has halted the UN broker deal of Black Sea Grain Initiative. After the occurrence of Russia-Ukraine war, the wheat basket of the world, that is Russia, Ukraine as well as Russia, these two countries export nearly 45% of the global wheat. And after the Russia-Ukraine war, those supply were severely restricted. As a result of which, the global food price has increased, which led to devastation of the economy of low as well as middle income countries, and it also led to food security problems to the low as well as middle income countries, those who are dependent on the wheat as well as other agriculture products from the Russia as well as Ukraine. And it also heavily affected the World Food Program of UN. So what does we should அவ்வளோ சிக்னிஃபிகன்ஸ் இருக்கு இந்த Black Sea Green Initiative. So the Black Sea Green Initiative என்னன்றதை we have to know. It is the initiative under which cargo ships would be allowed to travel from and to three Ukrainian ports, that is Odessa, Kramatorsk and Deni. It is brokered by United Nations as well as Turkey to tackle the rising food prices emanating from the supply chain, the disruption. As I have said, Ukraine is among the largest exporter of wheat, maize, rapeseed, sunflower seeds as well as sunflower oil globally. So that is what the importance of Black Sea Green Initiative, to ensure that the food security of the world is not getting affected, particularly those of low as well as middle income countries. So since the bombardment of the bridge has taken place near Crimea. We have to know about the Crimea. In 1796, Crimea first became a part of Russian Empire. Catherine the Great, the Empress of Russia, wanted to increase her nation's power in the east. So she sent her force to capture this area. The Ottoman Empire and its Western allies won the Crimean War less than a century later. So the Crimea has drifted away from the Russia, and also this incident has led to Russia's decline in the Russia's military presence in the peninsula region. The Russia as well as Ukraine's dispute the Crimean territory ownership regularly. However, the climax has reached in 2014 when the Crimea was annexed by the Russia. Now Crimea is currently under Russia. This is what the history, a short history in relation to Crimea is about. Since the news is related to Black Sea Initiative, the shipment of food grains through the Black Sea, we have to know about the Black Sea itself. It is the sea surrounded by Russia, Ukraine, Romania, Bulgaria, Turkey, and Georgia. It connects Sea of Marmara through Bosphorus Strait, and also it connects Sea of Azov to Strait of Kerch. So what we needed to study further is we have to know about the Russia as well as Ukraine map. This Ukraine map has been asked in this year's 2023 prelim. So we have to know about the Russian maps also, and also the NATO, which the Ukraine wanted to join, so that it could able to mobilize the military strength with the help of the Western countries. Third is India's crude purchase from Russia. So we have to know about them also. As a result of Russian-Ukraine war, India's crude purchase from the Russia has increased. We also should know about wheat, sunflower as well as rapeseed. Knowing about the wheat, sunflower and rapeseed, what I mean is knowing their soil, their climatic condition as well as the temperature that is required for full healthy growth of those food crops. Deadline missed. 23 states, union territories loses 1.44 lakh Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana unit to Uttar Pradesh. The center has withdrawn the allocation of 1.44 lakhs house from about 2 dozen states and union territories which failed to sanction the houses by June 30. Simultaneously, the Uttar Pradesh has sanctioned the given its allocated houses to the people, and it also demanded for additional houses from the center. Since these 12 dozen states as union territories have not sanctioned the 1.44 lakhs which have been allocated to them by the June 30, Government of India has withdrawn the allocation and it transferred those 1.44 lakh house building sanctions to Uttar Pradesh, which was badly in need to construct houses for those people with below poverty line. So what does this Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin means rural. It aims to provide pucca houses to all who are houseless and living in a dilapidated house in rural area. The cost of unit is to be shared between central as well as state government in the ratio 60:40 in plain areas and 90:10 for northeastern and hilly states. The unit assistance given to beneficiaries under program is 1,20,000 in plain areas and to 1,30,000 in the hilly state difficult areas. The integrated hilly state difficult areas and integrated action plan for the selected tribal and for the tribal as well as backward districts. Identification of beneficiaries eligible for assistance and their prioritization should be done using socio-economic caste census. The list will be presented to Gram Sabha to identify whether a particular beneficiaries who have been assisted before or have become ineligible due to other reason. Then the Gram Sabha will finalize the result and it will publish it. It is being implemented by the Ministry of Rural Development. And there is another component under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana is Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban. The mission seeks to address the housing requirement for people, particularly in the urban poor, including the slum dwellers. What the slum is defined under the scheme is, the slum is defined as a compact area, at least 300 people or about 60 to 70 households of poorly built congested tenements in unhygienic environment, usually with inadequate infrastructure and lacking in proper sanitary and drinking water facility. So this is what the definition in relation to the slum with relation to the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana urban needs. Beneficiary includes economic weaker section, low income groups and middle income groups. The annual cap is up to 3 lakh for EWS, 3 to 6 lakhs for low income group and 6 to 18 lakhs for middle income group. For identification as economically weaker section or low income group beneficiary under the scheme, an individual applicant will submit his self-certified or affidavit as the proof of income. The beneficiary family should not own a pucca house or any other person, those who are related to the not any other person. The beneficiary as well as his members of the family should not hold any pucca's house. The ownership of the house is provided in the name of female members or joint name. It is being implemented by Ministry of Urban Housing and Urban Affairs. So what we needed to study further is, we have to know about the other socio as well as economic inclusive scheme. Second, we also should know about the other social welfare scheme in relation to those people who are below the poverty line. Third is, we have to know about the right to property of constitution. So we have to look into the UPSC prelims question which was asked in relation to the news which appeared today. With reference to India, consider the following statement. The government law officers and legal firms are recognized as advocate, but corporate law officers and patent attorneys are excluded from recognition as advocates. No. The statement first is wrong, because the corporate lawyers as well as the patent attorneys are recognized as advocate. They are not excluded from advocate. So the statement one is wrong. Second is, the bar council have the power to lay down the rules in relation to the legal education as well as recognition of law college. Yes, this statement is correct. So the answer is 2 only. With reference to pulses production in India, consider the following statement. Black gram can be cultivated as both kharif as well as rabi crop. Green gram alone accounts for nearly half of the pulse production. In the last 3 decades, while the production of kharif pulse has increased, the production of rabi pulse has decreased. Whenever there is this statement in relation to statement which contains some extreme words and also certain wordings like increase, constantly increased or constantly decreased will be most of the time will be wrong, because nothing will constantly increase or constantly decrease. There will be some ups and downs all the way through the years. Not only in terms of agriculture production, in terms of any other activity of the human lives. So the statement 3 is wrong. Green gram alone accounts for nearly half of the pulse production. No, it's not so. Black gram can be cultivated as both kharif as well as rabi crop. Yes. So the statement 1 is correct. UPSC mains question. Investment in infrastructure is essential for more rapid and inclusive economic growth. Discussed in the light of India's experience. 2021 mains question. 15-mark question. That is 250 words question. I want those students, those who are watching the current affairs session online, please do comment answer point for this question so that all of them could be benefited and their the exchange of viewpoints could take place. So it will be beneficial to all, and everyone could grow as a whole. So please do comment. Thank you. Please do subscribe, like, comment, share the Ganesh IAS YouTube channel so that you could able to receive the daily notification in relation to the daily current affairs series, as well as any other important current affair news or other news in relation to the UPSC will be notified to you if you have subscribed to the Ganesh IAS YouTube channel. Thank you.